Hello and welcome back to All for United. More specifically, welcome back to the tactical review. One day earlier than usual. Obviously, not used to playing Thursday nights anymore. Neither United or Arsenal for very different circumstances, which we won't go into right now. But yeah, Thursday night football is back. Unfortunately, luckily we are playing a league game, a big game at that as well. A big 3 points needed because we are rapidly losing ground on the top four, and it could soon become an unsurmountable task before Ralph Rangnick even gets in. So, big game to preview. A massive game from last weekend to look back on as well, just briefly. I'll bring your usual panel straight in after this.
Click subscribe to get daily Manchester United content from Passionate Reds, only on All for United.
There we have it. The usual. Stu, Abdul, I hope you're both well. Thank you very much for joining me.
James.
Yeah, we'll get it underway then. Just before we start, just shout out to John in the comments. Nice to have you along. Be sure to like and subscribe as well. I'll say that before we get going. But straight away, Chelsea 1-1, which I don't think was a bad result in the context. I also think the performance probably wasn't as bad as was probably made out on Twitter, especially defensively. I thought we were very, very good. But Stu, obviously we've spoken about the game a little bit. I'll ask you more. Was there anything that, because I know I've got an answer to this, I want to see what your answer would be. Was there anything you picked up on that we mentioned, like the three of us on Thursday, that cropped up in the game?
I didn't mind the. Let me start off by saying I didn't mind the performance one little bit. Really, I was really pleased with it. There was a lot of players, fans that didn't like it. Thought we were lucky, etc., etc. But can I just remind everybody, you have to score more goals than the opposition to win, and they didn't do that. And you can have 500 chances in a game; it's an absolute irrelevance. If you don't take any of them, it doesn't matter. With regards to what did I notice? We kind of wanted a 4-3-3 system. If my memory serves me right, I've had a busy few days. And so I was pleased to see Carrick push ahead with a 4-3-3. I wasn't over enamoured with the Matic, Fred, and McTominay three. I wanted Van der Beek in there, etc. But what he did do was pick the wide players which would work, and Sancho, I suppose Rashford to an extent. Was Rashford up front, wasn't it? I've slept. Remind me. Yeah, Rashford to an extent. I think Rashford actually did exactly what Abdul was talking about. He was a half-hearted kind of defender, so to speak, alongside Telles, whereas Sancho was much more involved in the defensive side. So from what we were speaking about, from what I can remember, that's what I kind of picked up. Our system on how we wanted to play. I thought he played, except there was a difference in the middle. We didn't pick, he only picked one of the players that we thought he would pick. And he went obviously with the three. So from my point of view, that's what I picked up. So I was quite chuffed about that.
Yeah, fair enough. I'll bring this comment in before I bring you in, Abdul, because it sort of ties into what I was going to ask you. Chelsea didn't make that many clear-cut chances for all the possession. For me, it doesn't matter how much of the ball you have. If you don't take your chances, you don't deserve to win. Now, it's a good point that's raised that Chelsea, for all the possession, didn't really have all that much of the ball. But the big thing that you raised on Thursday was the emphasis on overloads and how Chelsea were going to look to exploit that. Now, do you think the midfield three that we played, it got a lot of stick for the selection of it? Do you think that was crucial to preventing those? Because I thought we did that quite well.
Yeah, like the moment I saw that we were getting into the diamond, I knew exactly what Carrick was thinking. I was talking about the box that pivot, the box that Tuchel creates, right? And the moment he canceled that overload for Tuchel, the only thing that was left is just to cover the wing backs. And I thought Telles for all the criticism we throw at him, and Aaron Wan-Bissaka did really good with the wing backs. Of course, they were helped. Like Fred helped them out, Scott helped them out, Sancho helped them out, but they did fairly well. But the important point was that overload in midfield, because Tuchel uses that to cut teams open, to create space for wing backs, to do a cutback, to do a shot, to whatever. You know what I mean? So the wing backs are the final piece in the plan, but the initial plan is that box in midfield. So because we played that sort of diamond with 4 people in midfield, we cancelled that for Tuchel, and that's why they couldn't create except half chances really. Or I think there was one chance for Hudson-Odoi where De Gea saved us in it, and another chance for Rudiger. But that was just from outside of the box. It wouldn't be a clear-cut chance anyway. So as long as you got that covered, you really minimize Chelsea's threat. But the drawback from that, you had to be very negative and reactive.
Yeah.
We were very we were not in control of the game, but we were not in danger. You know what I mean? So that's the drawback from this.
No, I agree with that, because we weren't. I don't think we were in that much danger at all. Look, the spot kick, it is what it is. The letter of the law is if you kick somebody, then it's a penalty. However,
and like we said, we're not good on the ball, so it was always going to be that way. It was always going to be that way.
But I thought, I don't know about you guys, but I thought Silva was quite cute when that ball was, and I thought I would have gone for it if I was Silva, because there's always a chance, isn't there? You get a clash of legs, and somebody like Silva's always going to go down and emphasize the fact. So I didn't mind so much. I know Twitter was in uproar about it. I didn't mind so much. But what I felt actually overall, for the first time in a long time, we saw an absolute will to get a result out of that game. There was a real determination to get a result. We weren't great on the ball. We got lucky, but for the first time, we sprang. Sancho was off for that ball like a rocket, just in case Jorginho was going to make that error. Now, most people, 9 out of 10 times, Jorginho would take that down and pop it off. But for whatever reason, it didn't happen. And I thought Sancho's calmness in front of goal, where he did that slight look to the left, which put Mendy all over the place, was absolutely brilliant. So I thought it was good. We just fell back in a bit further after that, which was maybe a mistake on Carrick's behalf. Maybe we should have continued to try and play. But I think you're right. Telles worried us, and I thought he was great, Abdul. I was happy with Wan-Bissaka. Wan-Bissaka got slated through social media and the papers. He got absolutely slated. And it brings me to something.
Scott McTominay took man of the match. That should tell you about all you need about the media. So
yeah, I know I couldn't work that one out, but we I saw a bit from Potter when his Brighton side was booed off, and I thought he made a really, really good analogy. You've not watched the game. You haven't seen the game. And we talk about it all the time, don't we? The three of us, watching certain aspects of the game and how good a player can be. And I thought Wan-Bissaka had put on his best performance for a while. So, no, I didn't mind the performance. Look, Tuchel, Chelsea, they can moan all they like. But if you don't take your chances, it is what it is. I mean,
Absolutely.
James, you didn't take your chances Sunday, did you? And look what happened to you.
Yeah, we lost 7-0. Less said about that, the better. But yeah, the final thing I wanted to talk about, and it sort of brings us into the Arsenal game, because I want to use this as sort of a look ahead, is Fred's performance, because as we said, he was fantastic. Now, I think, obviously, correct me if I'm wrong, but my observation of it was that having Matic and maybe even McTominay next to him allowed him to be a bit reckless in his positioning, and allowed him to be that energetic body that he's so great at. So I'll come to you, Abdul. Is that sort of, is a Matic Fred pairing in midfield, or that's a similar sort of midfield three, viable against a team who probably, a team like Arsenal, who are probably a bit weaker than Chelsea?
They're weaker, but honestly, they are slightly. I mean, if you go by position statistics, they're like the bottom 3 or 4 in the league, something like that. But they're still a bit comfortable on the ball. Like the possession that they have is low because of what they try to do as a tactic. Like they go ahead and for some reason they withdraw, which I really cannot understand why they do that every time they go ahead, which causes team to really attack them and have shots and dangerous shots, and sometimes they drew against them, or sometimes sometimes Ramsdale, save them.
Oh no.
Yeah. So, but they're comfortable on the ball. Like you have Partey, you have Lokonga, you have Tavares, you have Tamiyasu. These guys, these new signings, they're really good. Like, yes, people laughed at them for spending more money than anybody else, but they covered all their weaknesses, really, if you think about it. I mean, we've talked about this before and during transfer windows. It's not about how much money you spend, it's about what you spend it on. Do you cover your bases? Do you cover your holes in the team? Whether that took 200 million or 50 million, it doesn't matter. What matters is, did you balance your team, or did you fill the holes in your team? And they did a good job in that. I would still say they're slightly better in midfield on the ball than us. So they will. So the idea would be to still be on the back foot, unfortunately, and try to hit them on the counter, because they can't handle counters.
Yeah.
They try to do counters themselves, so they try to take chances because they still suffer a little bit with low blocks. And any chance a team tries to play expensively against them, they try to counter them themselves, because they have young players up top a lot, like Odegaard, Saka, Emmy Smith Rowe, all of them. So I would say they're still a little bit better than us on the ball. Who is going to control the game more? I think both teams will try to let the other control the game. So it's kind of like who loses the ball more, kind of thing. Who wins the more duels will control who has more possession. For us, though, I would rather be on the low block, mid block type of stuff. Because unfortunately, we can't play expensively. We don't have the deep midfielders to play expensively. We don't have the goalkeeper to play expensively. I don't know if Maguire comes back in this game or not, but if he does, he's the best progressive centre back we have. So,
Is he back?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
I think he is, isn't he? I think
Maguire
he's
is, he's seen out his suspension.
Yeah, I thought he had,
Then he starts. I'm pretty sure he will start.
Yeah.
We lack Shaw as well, so that's less progression. So I don't want us to try to fancy build up and play expensively. Just keep it compact, keep it low, and hit them on the counters as you've been doing before.
Yeah, so, I mean, there's a few things I like about Arsenal.
That's what we wanted Ollie to do ever since the performances started to go a little bit, after the Aston Villa Everton, they were like, well, you can't press now because of who. So just stay compact, stay low block. And the thing is, I really don't want to bring this up, but the idea of pressing is not running. It's being organized and being. How do you cover shadow? How do you block lanes between center backs, between fullback and center back, between center back and a goalkeeper? It isn't about running at all. It's not that he's running so he's pressing. No, it's not that. And unfortunately, we have too many that don't do it well. So it goes back to the idea of you're bringing more people that don't do it well. At all. So it becomes a bigger and a bigger problem. So we have, I don't know if Greenwood will be back in this game. Hopefully not. Not that I'm wishing sickness on the guy. I'm just saying hopefully not, because I know who will play with him.
Yeah.
So he's not good at pressing. And I don't mean he doesn't run. I mean he doesn't good press well. And same thing with Cristiano. Same thing with Rashford. So just stay back. Just be in a mid block, low block, and don't press.
I think mid-block.
Yeah.
What I would say is I like what Arteta's done with Arsenal over the past few weeks.
Yeah.
He's changed their system slightly. He's almost gone to an old-fashioned 4-4-2. I know Odegaard plays off of Aubameyang, or it's Aubameyang and somebody off it. But what I do like about Arsenal is the two players you mentioned, Partey and Smith Rowe. Now, Smith Rowe's a live wire. He's good in the tackle. He's good with the ball at his feet, and he will travel distances with it. Partey, very, very strong, we know. And that would be my worry. So I agree. I think they're a better midfield balance than what we are. So for us to be able to work on this,
For sure, yeah.
block is the best way forward. And it's who he goes with it. And I think Matic has got to stay in alongside Fred.
Because the thing is, even if you play a mid block, not a high block, you're still pressing in a way. It's just a different type of pressing. In what sense? In the sense that if you're in a mid block, but you're blocking all of their central lanes, they're just stuck with the ball at the center back's feet. So there's no way in through Manchester United, right? So that's
right,
exactly what we've been seeing before in the Leicester game and the Liverpool game, where we were in a mid block initially. We were doing okay. Like especially the Leicester game, it was so obvious in the Leicester game.
Yeah.
First 20 minutes, we were in a mid block, no pressing. They just blocked the central lanes, and then all of a sudden, Bruno decides to press on him by himself. So the others have to follow, but they follow late, right? And then all the central lanes that were closed for Leicester, and they just had the ball at the centre back's feet, but they're doing nothing with it. All of a sudden, all the lanes opened up, and they just passed it through to whoever the center field, I forgot their names, whoever their midfield is,
Yeah, it's true. It's absolutely true. And I think we could counteract that if we. And I think James is spot on, mate. We've got to hold with Matic. We've got to give Fred that 8 position. And I would actually, you've got to, and I know everyone's going to say typical Stu, Donny van der Beek, but he would fit in perfectly to this side because Partey. And I think it's Sambi, is it? Is it Sambi? Is he called Sambi? SAM by whoever. They're okay, but Donny will be too intelligent for them to find that space. Now the question is, Abdel, and this is where we've spoken about. We tend to agree. Can you play Donny and Bruno together? And I think on this occasion it'd be perfect because you could play Bruno at the tip of the diamond. And then whoever he chooses to go.
I always agreed with you if Matic is playing.
That's right, yes.
I disagreed with you when it's Donny with Scott or Fred.
That's right.
That combination will never work.
Yeah. But I think with Matic it could work on
Matic it could work. Thursday. But you're just sitting there and hoping and praying that Matic is on his good day. You know what I mean? Because if he has one of those bad days,
we could be in trouble. Yeah,
we're in trouble.
We could be in trouble. And up top, I would go. Obviously, I'd go with Sancho because I thought he was excellent against Chelsea. We're starting to see Sancho, and another really. I'm a bit. I don't know. I don't know how to play up top against him. Would you bring Ronaldo back in with Sancho pressing, with Bruno pressing, with Donny in there, Matic and Fred? You could accommodate Ronaldo for the lack of, if we want. So I'm not quite sure. That's the only thing I can't make up my mind, if I'm being...
Yeah, I don't want to say anything about the guy anymore because apparently I have an agenda against him. So
I did. Yes, I have. I don't, it's not right. Well, I don't think Cavani's fit, is he?
I'd assume not.
That guy will be so good to us. That guy will improve us so much. But if he's freaking available, he's not available at all.
It'd be great. So that's where I'm kind of Sancho and who, and I think you could probably accommodate Ronaldo in that lineup.
I want to try Martial, to be honest.
Well,
but it's just that you don't get the runs in behind if Martial starts with him.
Yeah,
that's all.
And I've seen a lot of people who are saying that Martial's our best at holding the play up, holding the ball up, and I disagree with that. I don't think he's okay, but I don't think he's.
It depends where. It depends where.
Yeah.
So Martial is very good at holding the play up when you're in the middle third at the very end of the middle third, final third.
Not
But as soon
further
as it gets very
than
close to the box, he can't handle
Yeah.
the center backs.
Yeah.
Or it's not that he can't handle it, he just does not do it well for some reason.
Is
You
it-
know, because
yeah,
like for example, like if he comes up against Chelsea's center backs or City's center backs or something like that, he handles them well. But if he comes up against a Virgil van Dijk or he comes up against like Burnley center backs,
yeah.
because these guys are gonna be in their box. They're not.
Yeah,
You're not gonna
exactly,
catch him against these guys at the halfway line. So for some reason he just does not do it well. His reaction is slower.
It's amazing, isn't it, when you consider it, because he doesn't even do the basic hold-up play of arch your body.
He
When you're
tries to
holding the
play them
ball up-
through, like with his own skills on the ball, like he tries to trick them and just, maneuver his way through them instead of actually holding them by his body. Remember when we talked about the different ways of holding up?
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
You have
yeah.
Lukaku, for example, he'll use his strength to hold the center back. He won't move from the spot that he's in.
That's right. Yeah.
But Martial, for example, he'll try to trick them by using the direction of the ball, the direction of his body to just maneuver his way through them. That's hold up, but in a completely different way. The idea of hold up is just not losing the ball. How you do it doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
is it through strength? Is it through dribbling? Is it through tricking them some way? So that's the idea. And Martial just does it differently. Is he elite at it? No.
No,
but
yeah,
but
no.
he's fairly good in comparison to a Rashford, to a Greenwood.
Yeah, he's better than Rashford. He's better than Greenwood.
Yeah,
Cavani's in a different league when it comes to it anyway, because Cavani's in.
And that's why I said we lacked him. He was the glue till the final third when he wasn't playing.
Yeah.
People laughed at me because you're missing a guy who hasn't scored in I don't know what last season. I'm like, but that's not the point. The point is that you need a flowing attack, right? You need an attack that can hold the ball up in the final third and make moves. He was helping that. That's the idea.
So it kind of brings me on to where one of my bugbears, where you see that Ronaldo's bailed us out and all this kind of stuff. Well, hold on, we're part of a team. As a part of 11 players, nobody bails anyone out.
So if Shaw didn't cross that ball, would Ronaldo score? If Fred didn't press the guy, would Ronaldo score?
Exactly
If,
right. That's how
we can go on with every single goal of it. If Greenwood did not lump that ball above the Atalanta guy so that Ronaldo taken half volley, would have Ronaldo scored. So you can't go. We can go both ways in this. You know what I mean? The whole argument that he saved us in the Champions League, but that's the thing though. The argument is false because would we be even in that position to need a goal from Ronaldo if Ronaldo was in the team? Because that's a theory in itself.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
Sorry, James, we're at it again, aren't we?
No, I'm happy.
For Arsenal, though, so to get back on Arsenal, we still need the diamond because they employ a similar shape in midfield to Chelsea. Obviously, they're not as good as Chelsea on the ball, but they employ their own four, let's just call it. So we need a four as well in midfield to counteract that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I didn't plan for anything after this, so we'll just freestyle.
Lineups?
Yeah. Well, we discussed United's in detail, so I'll just finalise that then. Are we going with the same shape we played against Chelsea with sort of split strikers? Because I won't class Fernandes as a false nine, really, in that game.
No.
No. You'd have to have split strikers, yeah.
Yeah. So we're going Sancho and who else up top with him? Do we think?
Well, I think the smart money will be on Sancho and Ronaldo. I think that's what he'll do. But I tend to agree with Abdel. Actually, I'd like to see Martial up there.
Is there a case for playing Ronaldo because obviously I don't think Arsenal's back line is particularly physically imposing. I think their two best centre halves are specialised at ball playing rather than physicality. So
and they're not the fastest too.
They're not the quickest.
Yes.
Got two scores before here.
Would it be worth? You've got a Telles on the pitch. You've got Wan-Bissaka's not the worst at crossing. Would it be worth playing Ronaldo just for that sort of opportunity?
I think Ronaldo will start because, and this will be an unpopular opinion, but I think Rangnick will want to want to see what he's got to play with Ronaldo.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Thing is, as long as Fred and Bruno with Sancho is around Ronaldo, I think he'll be okay.
So do I.
I think we'll be okay. The worry was if you play Ronaldo, Greenwood, and someone else who doesn't work that hard, that becomes an issue.
Yeah, so Graham might pick the side. Yeah, that's pretty much what we've been talking about.
No arguments with that.
I would go with the same side, or probably what we're all going to get wrong is Van de Beek, and he will be on the bench. And
of course,
yeah.
But we know that would be the
What else I was gonna say? The thing is, with Ronaldo, he does this kind of move that maximizes his chances of getting goals, where he stays on the side of one of the center backs all the time.
Yeah.
Just waiting for someone to nick the ball and just play him through. He did it so much in the Villarreal game. And unfortunately, it was counterproductive because Villarreal because he's just wandering there on his own, and no one was blocking lanes between center backs or between midfield and center back, which he was supposed to be doing with Martial. And I think that was the reason Martial played, by the way. It was easier for them to just play through him. Every time we tried to press high up, and he is supposed to cut the lanes between the center backs, he wouldn't do it well. Or he doesn't do it, or he does it once but then stays there with that center back, and they just play through the other side because he's just staying there waiting with the other center back. So these are the little things that we talk about when we talk about Ronaldo, quote unquote, pressing. We're not talking that he is running all like a headless chicken. Why isn't he running like that? Oh, not no, that.
No. Oh no, it's crazy. When I was growing up. Yeah. Which is a long time ago. When we were 8 or 9.
Really? I didn't know it still. I thought you grew up 5 years ago.
I learned about possession by a grid system that our school coach, put on his whiteboard, or his paperboard back then, of course. And all he did was he put the pitch together. He drew this grid system. Okay. So, and he would position you. And he would, and where you were positioned, he would then talk about the 4 grids around you, and that's pressing. And you don't have to run in there. You can sidestep. You can go slightly to the right. You can go slightly to the left. You can go slightly back, and it's 1, 2, 3 steps at any one time, which is proper pressing. And you don't need that. And he did that by a grid, and it was really interesting for us to be able to identify.
So the curved runs, it's helpful because people think pressing is running straight at someone who has the ball, which is completely wrong. Yeah. When you're pressing someone, you need to press with the idea who is behind you or who are you cutting off, so that guy has less options on the ball to play away from you. You know what I mean? So let's say Ronaldo is running at a center back, right? If Ronaldo runs straight at him, that's the wrong thing to do, because that means Ronaldo's leaving someone free for him to just pass to as soon as he gets closer. Greenwood did this mistake with Virgil van Dijk and Robertson.
That's right.
Instead of curving his run for the first goal.
Yeah, that's
Instead
right.
of curving his run, he ran straight at Van Dijk, left Robertson completely open, which forced Aaron Wan-Bissaka to press Robertson way away from his back line,
which was
so the black line had to shift. You see the consequence of one player just not doing the right thing. So that's how it all started, right? Greenwood just running straight aimlessly at Van Dijk. So Van Dijk played it through him to Robertson freely. Okay. Robertson freely played it to someone else because Aaron Wan-Bissaka had to cover for Greenwood, and Lindelof had to cover for Aaron Wan-Bissaka. So it made Maguire shift to this side. It made Shaw shift to that side. So it left, the left back side completely open. That's how the whole sequence played. But unfortunately, Twitter only remembers the guy at the very end, which is Shaw. So it was Shaw's fault, right?
I don't want to talk about Twitter coaches.
Yeah, so that's how it plays out. Like the pressing isn't just running at guys and jumping on them. It's just like they have to be very completely smart about who's behind you, who are you going to cut out when you're running towards the guy that has the ball. So
and that's why he gave us the 4 segments.
Yeah.
So, you know, left, right, behind you. And that's where you knew where you were. And you always knew who was in and around you at any one time. And that's how I play football. And I still do to this day. That's exactly how I play football.
Okay, we can only hope that, you know, the introduction of Rangnick will really show people what pressing is, I suppose, because, you know, there's no better no better person to explain good practice than the bloke who innovated it back in the day. But I do always hate to cut these shows short, but we have been instructed that we need to be done before the football, and I think everywhere's just kicked off. So I'm going to end it there.
No worries.
Against my will, I must say. But massive thank you to you, Stu and Abdul,
Pleasure.
as ever. It's been a good show as ever. Thank you to everyone who's watched, tuned in. Be sure to like and comment and subscribe as well if you did enjoy. Get your thoughts in the comments, and we'll try to reply to as many of you as possible. But yeah, stay tuned for reaction after the game, and we'll see you next time.